I just wanted to thank everyone as someone who did the first ever jazz poetry readings with Jack Kerouac in 1957. We used to do that at the Bring Your Own Bottle parties before On the Road came out, and we continued doing this as you're all doing tonight until whoever was giving the party said, "Could you please knock it off?" And we did that. It was so much fun that Philip Lamantia, Howard Hart, wonderful poets and friends of Jack's from California, said, "Man, why don't we do this?" They'd never done it officially in New York, so we did the so-called official first jazz poetry readings in New York City and did it for about 2 or 3, 4 months. And then On the Road came out, got such a fantastic review that everyone felt obliged to come up. That was a flavor of the month or two, screaming into the microphone how much they hated their mother in the United States, while the band, who never checked anything like that out before, played I Got Rhythm 3 times faster and louder than anything in the earth, trying to blow the poet off stage. And needless to say, jazz poetry had its day. Just as after Gilbert Milstein, God bless him, loved Jack's book and saw the relationship of Jack and Dostoevsky, who also loved all people who crossed their paths, did such a beautiful work that he defied the Eastern Seaboard establishment's idea of the great author being someone with a tweed coat with patches on their sleeves, giving a bad imitation of an English royalty, which the English people themselves couldn't stand after World War I, except for the official royalty was there, and adopted what they hoped would be sort of a low self-esteem social climber's viewpoint of how to be hip by becoming a great intellectual, unapproachable author, writing one book every 3 years, having a nervous breakdown, smoking a pipe, and getting a tenured professor gig. All that being said, Jack's work, after he was no longer fashionable, the greatest crime you could commit in America, falling out of fashion, kept writing up until the day he died. We stayed friends for 11 years, and I wrote a lot of symphony pieces and classical pieces, some with him, that reflected his love of the great classics and the beauty of America and the beauty of his French-Canadian heritage and all that great stuff. So when I met Ron Whitehead, 1994, quite a few years after Jack had died in 1969, they had suddenly discovered the Beat generation. And with the cliches that was put into as the loser's paradise, naturally had an incredible group of people show up. And I was supposed to open up the whole program because I'd been Jack's accompanist. I had the good fortune of still being alive. And I heard these wonderful readers with Southern accents. I said, wow, this is like they're including America in the whole version of what this was supposed to be about. And the stage manager said, well, there's these people from Kentucky, as if that was some hideous hellhole. And I said, no, man, they sound great. We have more than enough time. So these kids were like fantastic. And then I heard this amazing poet. I said, my God, man, I wish Jack Kerouac could see him here. This guy, who is that? They said, that's our teacher, Ron Whitehead. That's when we met way back in 1994. Since then, we've gone all over the world, and it's just so beautiful. Ron got honored. I was given an honor last year, but then due to the virus, I stayed at home like everyone else. So I'm glad this year to be able to come to Ron's honoring. And also so glad to hear all of you reading, and that wonderful poet who read with a young man playing the organ. It was so refreshing to hear somebody playing music that was actually listening to the sanctity of the word and not drowning it out. I only want to say this, so if any of you have friends that are musicians working in a dry cleaning store that could play the Brahms violin concerto but can't get a gig anywhere, tell them to come and accompany you. And if they ask you, well, I never improvised, I never did that. Tell them Duke Ellington's advice to young musicians: listen. That's all you got to do. And if you listen, you can't go wrong. And Billy Collins, the great poet, said to me, when we did the jazz, we did a thing called something, poetry. Jazz Mouth. And he was so wonderful. And he said, I'm having such a good time. And he said, I hardly ever use musicians because the music is already in the poetry. So you guys proved that tonight. It's just a thrill. And Debbie, I want to really thank you. Everything you said about what you hoped it would be. That not only Jack Kerouac felt that way, Gary Snyder felt that way, Lawrence Ferlingay felt that way, I felt that way, and a lot of other people who we admired more than we admired each other also felt that way. And I think Homer felt that way when he did the Iliad and the Odyssey on the ship with no career counselor, no guru, no dope dealer to make him feel good, but did somehow enough words and music for someone else to write it down. When King Solomon did the Songs of Solomon, Langston Hughes told me they did that all the time in New York for rent parties, having musicians who listened and artists who improvised and who wrote from the heart about what they experienced. So you guys are doing that, and it's terrific. And whether or not it's held at Yankee Stadium or on CNN is beside the point, because the Sermon on the Mount wasn't done on HBO, and Lincoln's Gettysburg Address was just at a little train station. Small is beautiful, what's real lasts forever. And that was Jack's motto. Keats Indiam, beautiful ode to a Grecian urn. A thing of beauty is a joy forever. So, I just wanted to say that not as a sermon, but a thank you, you Debbie, and thank you for all of you for continuing to keep poetry alive. We hope and this is a song of which I'm qualified, definitely, since I'll be 91 this November, about aging gracefully. It's called The Old Man in the Mirror. And I mentioned my son Adam, who's working on some music himself in the other room. He'll be here tomorrow with all the kids. And thank you for coming, and thank you. I just wanted to say that. What I should have said last year if I could have been here. A big thank you, and please keep doing what you're doing, and encourage if in public schools, anywhere where you live, tell the English department to hang in there, and for parents who think everybody should quit being educated, there'll be enough unemployment in the next few years anyway, so keep the English departments, music departments, and arts going, because everybody that does that will live longer, be better citizens, and have more fun.
Yeah. Thank
you. This is The Old Man in the Mirror, featuring the founder of this festival, Debbie herself, holding up the words. Because I wrote this. This is the beginning of Ron's new CD, which she made. Or actually, it was an LP. And if anybody wants a copy, I've got some free ones he sent me in the CD form. We'd be glad to, as they say in the vernacular, to lay it on you for free. It's called The Old Man in the Mirror. Who's that old man in the mirror staring back at me? I guess I ought to know him. Looks like what I hoped I'd never be. Even so, I kept on staring, couldn't get my eyes to look the other way. They stared at me, they oozed the blues. There was nothing I could say. The next day, my son, Adam, came by to say hello. I think my mirror's busted. Can you check it out before you go? Saw him staring in the mirror, made me see myself again. Said, Adam, now the mirror's yours. You got yourself a brand new friend. Well, now it's my son Adam's mirror, and his smile's all you see. Reminds me of the good times and the guy I used to be. Now it's Adam's turn to stare up at that mirror on the old wall of it. He thinks the mirror's busted. I know he'll give me a call. Never have to worry about that mirror staring at me again. Can you hold it with your right hand if you please? Great. Because after Adam had it for a while, he gave that mirror to a brand new friend. Let's hope his friend will look into that mirror and he will see all the joy and the love and the way it used to be. That's because that old mirror on the wall reminds us of the times that we could share. Sometimes those memories are more than we can bear. So if you look at that old mirror, well, the mirror itself doesn't really care. Well, that's the story in a nutshell. There's just one more thing that I gotta say. If you think your mirror's busted, well, just look the other way and you'll see all the love and beauty that surrounds us every day. Since we miraculously made it through the flood and the great fling of last night, and Adam got through the puddles, God, somehow even the subway system in New York was flooded. And Metro North Railroad close to where I live in Beacon was busted and he couldn't get there anyway. We took Debbie's instructions because we wanted to see Ron Whitehead Day. We got the joy of being with all of you in this magical part of Connecticut tonight, for which we thank you so much. Finally, even though the song was over a while ago, there's just one more thing I want to say. If you all remain creative, ignore all career counselors and naysayers, and just keep doing it until you drop it. After that, Dizzy Gillespie said, I'm going to pop till I drop it. We suggest that you all do the same thing yourself. And put all negative career counselors' advice on their own or someone else's shelf. Only one way that we can thank you except to say merci et for l'histoire et merci bien for everything that you all do. We hope that this foundation will continue when we're all in the great jam session in the sky, because creativity and beauty and caring for other people and respect is more than most people ever think that they can do. So we want to thank you all so much for your generosity, and thank Debbie too. Hope you'll tell your kids that they can be creative regardless of what they do to pay their rent. Finally, on this very, very, very blessed day, you'll be relieved to know that that's all I've got to say.